Welcome to RT Live Talk, Detroit's #1 YouTube talk show. Excited to connect. Looking forward to checking in and sharing with you what's happening out in the news. And looks like there is one country signed up as of now. It happens to be an allied nation to Russia. And it looks like, based upon some prior negotiations and strategies that were put in play, that there are going to be a lot more countries in that area to sign up. So definitely looking forward to talking about that, as well as a variety of other subject matters. So feel free to let me know. And as always, for those that might be new to the community, let me know where you're watching from via chat. And then when the phone lines open up, 313-462-0027. We'll love to hear your voice directly. All right. So we should be good to go. All right. Apologize for the hang up as well as the tardiness and everything else. It seems that, the thoughts seem to come together at the wrong times as far as being able to put together some visual aids. But we're going to do the best we can. I'm going to share my 2 cents and then get your thoughts on a variety of other subject matter out there that caught my attention today. But anyway, let me check in real quick via the chat. And as always, for those plugged in, definitely hit the thumbs up button, show your support for the channel, as well as click the notification bell. Hopefully you guys are notified when we go live. And so as always, make sure you click that thumbs up and the subscribe button to be notified when we go live. So, and also curious to get your thoughts on the video published earlier from Mr. Klaus Schwab and how there would be no fourth industrial revolution unless there was blockchain to help execute the agenda. So I bet you, Mr. Klaus Schwab is a heavy bag holder of Bitcoin as well. He's definitely excited for it to do well for, all the obvious reasons. But anyway, let's jump in real quick and go from there. We got Simon checking in. We got LBP checking in. Timo, we got Spare a Dime. Tony's checking in. We got Shaska from Not Saying I Incorrectly. Appreciate you. Midnight Green checking in. Brian, we see Hercules for the Pantheon. What else we got? Dominic checking in as well. Mike Smith, appreciate you. Babar checking in. Art, it says apology accepted, but don't do it again. Yeah, I apologize, man. Art says the more countries that opt out of the dollar, guess what? The Fed has the backing of the military, which means war. Very true. But like I mentioned last night, it just wouldn't be a isolated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries. It would be ultimately dozens of countries because, you got the powerhouse nations, the nations I think that also have a pretty strong military might as well in the form of Russia, China, whatever they might have. And then, of course, all the other small nations that add up to equal a greater sum. And it's like the analogy of the ant and the elephant. And of course, I love using the analogy from the Ant movie where, once the ants realize the power they have over the grasshoppers, it's just a matter of them coming together and realizing that, numbers, if they have numbers, they can outdo pretty much any force relative size. And of course, but I think that's kind of where this is all heading. But anyway, enough of me ranting. Apologize for the hang up. I'll do some editing on my side. Don't worry about it. All right, let's jump right in. So put together a little visual aid last minute, just based upon some information that was shared to me by one of the members of the community. Appreciate you as always. And I want to make sure if you come across stuff throughout the day, definitely connect on the Telegram as well as Discord, share stuff there, and then I'll try to grab it and elaborate on it and things like that nature. So anyway, let's jump right into this one. So thought I would just share my 2 cents on this and just kind of put together the pieces of the puzzle of what appears to be, from what we're told, the first nation to sign up to the Russian ruble or the ruble gas payment methodology. And it happens to be a bordering nation, i.e. Belarus. And so, of course, Belarus, Soviet Union, they have a long history, much longer and more in depth than I am aware of. But it's just interesting how, because Belarus is on the Western's naughty list, i.e. because they're allies with Russia, and they've been working hand in hand throughout the last, several decades, centuries, perhaps. But what I wanted to bring to your attention that you really won't hear anywhere else unless it's, after it's announced. But as you guys can see in the middle here, I have the flag or the representation of a working collaboration group of individual or countries rather, and it's called the Commonwealth of Independent States. And the reason I use that one is because Belarus and Russia happen to be 2 nations of approximately 9 that make up the Eurasian region. And of course, they've already signed contracts and memorandums and all types of things years prior. So it's only natural that nations that border Russia will probably be the first ones to sign up directly to the whole Russian ruble charade that's underway. But just real quickly, I'll thumb through this. And as always, I'll probably add more as more thoughts come. But as you guys can see here, first arrow starts from their president there. I'm not even going to try to butcher his name, but look it up. So Belarus, and from what I've gathered with my little bit of research, they have some key minerals that the world needs. And I think, as I mentioned from last week with the video, which one of the BRIC nations will be next. And I got a possible clue as to who that might be based upon some information surfacing on how, minus some minerals that comes from Belarus primarily, it'll be hard for the other country I'm referring to really keep its head above water. And so I'd imagine pretty soon, if not already, they're probably already doing some deals under the table. But by the time it hits the surface, of course, you guys will be first one to know. Okay, let's keep it moving real quick. So Belarus, as you guys can see here, Belarus, bordering country of Russia. Okay, cool. We have the president next to President Putin shaking hands. They've been doing business for quite some time. Got an article here showing how they've been doing things for quite some time. Nothing new, but not stuff you hear about much on the West over here. Okay, so Belarus, another region that's naturally rich in certain items that the world needs. So we'll get to that. And so the president has decided to take the Belarusian ruble, which you guys see above here, and go through the process of what it looks like, transferring it to the Moscow exchange. It's in collaboration with Gazprom Bank, and they're going to do some laundering right there, taking those foreign currencies and then washing them over, turn them into Russian rubles. And then from that point on, which I forgot to highlight yesterday, Gazprom will basically credit the account with Russian rubles to the nations that decide to participate in this particular mechanism here. And so you'll go from Belarusian rubles, they'll wash it over here between exchange and the Gazprom Bank, credit the account of the country, which will be the Commonwealth, which will be Belarus. And then at that moment, it'll be a no-brainer for them to have the access to then go directly to Gazprom with the credit line that will be established in Russian rubles. And then energy will flow as normal back into Belarus, as well as all the other resources needed to keep their company going. And the reason why I think this is something that's worth paying attention to, because Belarus needs energy so that they can stay in a lock and step in alignment with this global reshuffling, so that they can continue to move forward on their own agendas, which happens to be producing wealth and minerals for other nations. And so I want to dive right into that. But before I do that, let me get to the headlines here that I want to refer to, so you guys can see where this visual aid, what it was inspired from. So it says here, Belarus agreed to pay in rubles for oil and gas from Russia. So this was confirmed as of Saturday, reported on Sunday. Here we are Tuesday, or give or take. And you won't hear about this in the West, just because the West makes it seem like Russia's crumbling, their economy's tanking, they're going to default on their dollar-denominated debt. At the same time, Putin already said that we're going to default unless you allow us to pay in rubles. So we have the cash equivalent in rubles if you would accept it, but if you don't, that's your loss. So it's about $600 million worth of Russian USD debt that's up on the table. So ultimately, because the U.S. is not allowing Russia to pay the equivalent in rubles and allow the receiving party to do the exchanging, the U.S. is pretty much leading this default. It's a U.S.-led default. So I'd imagine Putin, for the sake of just wanting to keep this thing going, would want to make good on his debt by paying in rubles and furthering their agenda to move away from the dollar. But the West doesn't want that. So I wonder, with all the creditors that will be defaulted upon, which are linked to pension fund, hedge funds, and all the other financial products sold to the world. I wonder, as those defaults occur, will the fiduciaries and the people responsible for those accounts, will they point the blame back to the U.S.? Because I would assume, rather than take a complete L, some of those companies, some of those institutions would love to receive rubles so that they can at least get something back on those loans. But we'll see. Okay, let's keep it going, people. Let me just thumb through here real quick. And so it says Belarus will pay for oil and gas supplies from Russia. This was announced on Saturday, April 2nd, by the Prime Minister of the Republic, Roman I'm not going to butcher it. He said, quote, "We switched to payment in ruble for energy resources. This is very important. This is what we have been striving for a very long time. Decoupling settlements from the dollar. Decoupling settlements from the dollar. Now we will work in the Russian ruble. This year we will pay for supply oil and gas in Russian rubles," he said, and goes on and on and on and on. Okay, so they want to decouple. So the Belarusian political figures, they're literally, as it says, trying to decouple away from the dollar. So there's an outright hit from that region on the Federal Reserve note. And once again, as I always say, for those that are tuning in, I see some comments out there saying Mike's turned pro-Russian. Mike's a Russian shield. I'm like, I'm just reporting based upon what I've been talking about for almost 8 years now, which is rethinking the dollar. We are beyond the point of rethinking the dollar. The world's decoupling from the dollar. That's going to be the new show, decoupling from the dollar. But mind you, all dollars are not created equal. Just keep that in mind. And so I like to make sure I bring back home what that actually means. And so right here in front of me, I have a Federal Reserve note labeled as $1, and I have a silver eagle named as $1. You tell me which one has more long-term value, and I'll just rest my case on that one. So just because I use the word dollar doesn't refer to the fact that I'm referring to actually the Federal Reserve paper note and all those paper derivatives and everything spun off of that. So I think we're going to get back, or there's a possibility for those who are awake and aware to get back to United States minted dollars. And that means gold, silver, and everything in between. So anyway, just a little something there on a side note. Okay, so what am I referring to? So I said earlier, based upon the visual I put together, the Commonwealth of Independent States. And so that's an entity that's been working together for quite some time. They've had negotiations, deals, and it's interesting. They have their own flag, their whole little emblem. And so this is the region that I'm referring to here. So these are the bordering nations here to Russia that make up this particular consortium of parties here, and Belarus happens to be one of them. That is the first of what might be several other: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova. We got Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and then we got Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Mongolia, all bordering countries that are keeping an eye on how this unfolds. And so the question will then be, how many more of these bordering nations that's a part of the Commonwealth of Independent States will it take to sign up for the decoupling of the dollar process that's underway before the West steps in? Because at that point, it's going to be hard for the mainstream media to continue to lie by only telling us their version of the story, saying that Russia's suffering, Russia's hurting, Russia, all that goodness, all that stuff. When in actuality, they have all the real world resources they need to sustain themselves for a long time. And now they're just getting to the point where they're trying to price them in different mechanisms, i.e. rubles, gold, whatever else comes next. But ultimately, it's the real world resources that are actually the commodities of choice. And it so happens that gold and silver happen to be on a periodic table and listed and used as money from a monetary standpoint. But what the world needs is food, energy, things that come from inside the ground, which Belarus, Russia, and all those other, stands, they have abundance of that stuff. We're over here in the West, we just got a whole lot of stuff in Walmart. Not making light of it, but you guys get my point. Anyway, let me share with you real quick another article that I wanted to shine light on, just to show you more of what we won't hear from the West. That's what this is all about, ultimately. Just trying to share a different story, given the fact I'm still investigating myself. So bear with me, but let me share this with you. So this is, if I can pull my window up here. So this is the article that I want to share. So this, I like to take stories that's given to us now and then go back and find the other versions of the story from years ago when it really first came out. But here's an article here: Belarus and Russia have strategic allied relations, and this was back in 2017. So granted, it's more of a newsworthy article just because it's older and it's not predicated on painting a false narrative based upon the environment we're in currently. Okay. But just to give an idea real quick, I thought I would thumb through this because this is what brought to my attention the importance of these nations here turning up their intensity and working together like never before. But it says over the 25 years of diplomatic relations, Russia and Belarus have established strategic ally relations that are in the interest of both nations. Going down, it describes why that is. But for 25 years, they've been working together. And it says, it stresses that the Belarus and Russia are among most active members of the integration associations with the Commonwealth of Independent States, CIS. They are driving force promoting multilateral initiatives within such associations as the Eurasian Economic Union, the CIS, and the Collective Security Treaty Organization. And so I haven't even gotten to that one yet. It says, quote, we stand for multilateral collective approaches to the resolution of pressing global and regional problems, the principle of non-interference into domestic affairs of states, not acceptance of the policy of sanctions. They're against, sanctioning people. So basically everything that they're in their little mission statement happens to be what the West is doing to the world in a sense. So you can see how they would definitely be interested in trying to get rid of everything done by the West. But let me just duck go this real quick and see what pops up, because I'm not even familiar with this one. So this is something new to me, but we can study this one together real quick. The Collective Security Treaty Organization. It's in Armenia, Belarusian. It's a lot of languages I can't read. But real quick, let me see what it's about. It says the collective, it says, is an intergovernmental military alliance. Oh, okay. This is so this is some military might behind this. It says CSTO consists of select post-Soviet states. The treaty had its origins in the Soviet Armed Forces, which was gradually replaced by the United Armed Forces of the Commonwealth of Independent States. It says on May 15, 1992, 6 post-Soviet states belonging to the CIS, Russia, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, signed the Collective Security Treaty. Okay, so we got a military agreement between those nations. So that's something worth keeping an eye on, because they'll be willing to go to bat for one another on a battlefield. That's what that means. Okay. Let's keep it moving. Okay, so back to the country I'm referring to that more than likely might come up next. And what I mean by come up next, for those that might just be joining in, I'm trying to put together some of the pieces of the puzzle. And as you guys can see here, just put together just the recent transaction with the Belarusian ruble being converted to the Russian ruble, to credit the account of Belarus to be able to continue the gas flow from Gazprom. Okay, so as you guys can see this here, but I think this Commonwealth of Independent States is going to be something we're going to hear more about in the next couple of weeks, months. Okay. Reason I say all that is because Belarus is the first nation that we know of to sign up for this agreement, because they want to make sure their operations flow smoothly, and they need energy in order to keep things going so that they can continue to work with their partners in bringing real world resources to the world, because a lot of key minerals come from Belarus. Let's talk about that. Okay, here's an article. And so it just lets me know further how the more the BRIC nations are put against their backs are against the wall, the more they are more than likely try to come up with some type of agreement amongst themselves, and we'll hear about it after the fact. So here we got Brazil needs potash, and Belarus is looking for ways to supply it. So prior to this live stream here, I had no clue what potash is, if I'm saying it correctly. And so I had to, of course, dive down some rabbit holes. I'm like, what is potash? Let me know if I'm saying it right or wrong. I don't know, but it just sounds like this way it should be spelled, so whatever. And so potash, it says potash includes various mined and manufactured salts that contain potassium in water-soluble form. The name derives from potash, which refers to plant ashes or wood ash soaked in water in a pot. The primary means of manufacturing the product before the industrial era, the word potassium is derived from potash or potash. Keep it that way, okay? I'll just say potash is produced worldwide in amounts exceeding 90 million tons, with Canada being the largest producer, mostly for the use in fertilizer. And so potassium, okay, so Canada being the largest one, obviously Belarus has that as a major part of their exporting. And so Brazil needs potash, and Belarus is looking for ways to supply it. So once again, this is the naughty list. These are all the countries that are not in good standing with the West. So now the dilemma is, how will the Belarus government get potash to Brazil? So that right there leads down the pathway of there being some type of announcement of a interconnected banking network where Let me go back here real quick, if you don't mind. It's just me sharing my 2 cents. Could be 100% wrong, but this plays into why I believe it's already operational. But let me grab it real quick if I can. I gotta go through my archives real quick. Let me go through my archives and just grab for you another visual aid to use. And so this right here lets me know that this announcement will be around any day now. So this is from the BRICS Business Council, and so up here, just this is just the inner working networks of the NIPS, the network systems that might be operational right now, but yet some of the smaller infrastructure is already done. So here we have at the very top, we have Russia right here, and then Belarus is to the far left. So we got Belarus right here, and Armenia and all the other EAEC, or the Commonwealth of Independent States, operating right above here. And so they're connected to the network through Russia. Russia has a primary infrastructure, computer model, interbank messages system, or whatever, SPFS. And of course, they collect through some type of cloud server. But then again, they need to do business with Brazil. So how do you do that? Oh, simple. You just connect down here at the bottom, Latin American Plus, ELO program. So if you Google all these words, you'll find out more about it. But these right here, so Belarus goes through Russian payment networks right here, connects with the Brazil to pay instant transactions, all that stuff like that. You know how it's going to happen. But anyway, this is just the decoupling away from the dollar mechanisms and into something alternative approach towards that. So that's just that on a nutshell. Okay, enough of that. Let's move on. What else is happening out here? Just world events as they're happening, as we're being told about them. So just real quick, I'll thumb through these and open the phone lines. Peru deploys army to control violent protests disrupting exports. And we're hearing more and more and more about unrest. And of course, the mainstream media can't help, even alternative media can't help but flood us with the realities of the fact that supply chains, lack of food, lack of this, lack of everything. And it's just a matter before stuff really hits the fans. So it'll definitely hit the fans first, and second, third world countries primarily, because they're the ones that are the primary beneficiaries of products after they arrive here in the U.S. And so as things slow down here, I would assume we might experience something like that in certain pockets throughout the country first. But anyway, just interesting how Peru's up in arms from what we're being told here. Sri Lanka is also another issue here. And then on the home front here, for those who bought into the process of achieving the American dream, which happens to be through taking out student loans. And over the last, 10, 12 years, I think it's up to, was it 2-3 trillion or something like that in student loan debt. And over the last 2 years, the government's managed to kick the can down the road by, postponing repayments to make it easier on people who have the loans. But then again, it's like the loans are not going away. But before November, after August, they're going to forgive them, just because heading into the midterm elections, it'll be worth politicians' best interest to make sure that they wipe those debts clean in order to basically pay for some votes. But anyway, White House to extend student loan pause through August. Yeah, 1.8 trillion. X, appreciate you. And appreciate that. After a while, I talk about so many figures, I kind of lose track of my numbers back here. Anyway, keep it moving. And here's something I thought was funny. And somebody let me know if you guys find this funny as well. Let me play this. Let me actually give me 1 second here. I'll make it easier. What I'll do is, so I can make sure I get it. I'll play this. I want to play it so everybody can hear it. But if you don't mind, talk amongst yourself real quick, or throw out some thoughts and stuff in the chat, and I'll jump on it. But let me just share this with you, because I found it funny. But then again, I'm thinking, like, was he joking or what? Like, maybe he wasn't joking, because sometimes he's old Joe. I don't know. Everybody know at this point Joe ain't got it all together. And so because Joe ain't got it all together, ain't no telling how the truth can slip any minute with Joe. Let me just real quick. It won't take long, but the truth can slip any minute with Joe, and it'll fly under the radar because the media can't talk about it, and because there's people out there that really like him and support him like that. he's bound to just tell you the truth, but yet most people still think he's invincible.
Thank you very much. Please.
All right, listen to this.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Barack Obama's vice president. And I'm Jill Biden's husband. By the way, the only reason Jill's not here today.
Did I miss that? Am I reading too much into something, or is this?
Thank you very much. Please.
This.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Barack Obama's vice president.
My name is Joe Biden, and I'm Barack Obama's vice president. So is he having a glitch moment in the system, in his programming, or is that just something worth reading into? I don't know, but I'll finish it off and let you guys.
Thank you very much.
Let me know what you guys
Please.
think.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Barack Obama's vice president. And I'm Jill Biden's husband.
Right.
By the way, the only
dude.
reason Jill's not here today, she's working. She's teaching. And so I just want you to know that's why she's not here. Good.
Okay. So I thought I would share that real quick. But anyway, let's open the phone lines. Let's talk. When I saw that, I laughed. Oh, here's another one. I have to. It's a must. Listen to watch this. Real quick. Let me grab give me 1 second here. Then we'll open the phone lines, I promise. And this is just something you just it is what it is. World may be on the brink of a new inflationary era, says central bank chief. So Mr. Augustine talks about the Bank of England. I'm sorry, he's a BIS, basically the banker of bankers. And he's basically contradicting the UK's recent statement saying that inflation can be curtailed within the next year. And of course, we know transitory was proven to be a lie and everything else. As far as consumer prices of assets, you know what I'm saying? That's basically what we're referring to here. And so he's basically saying this is going to be a long-term thing, and he's concerned. And I'm thinking, like, was this before or after this entire monetary system was structured to inflate or die based upon debt and credit? I'm not quite sure. But as a result of this, I thought I would just share something real quick that let me go back here into my archives. Give me 1 second here. Because I put out there, who else did this guy look like? And I thought I would just, this is a little bit of a little joke. But if you look at this picture right here, you see the guy on the far right. This was from 1873, I think, a picture that was very popular. But the road to prosperity on the left with metals, coins from the U.S. Mint, as you guys can see on the box he's sitting on, specie and bullion, and the ability to redeem them for notes. Whereas on the right, you got the fat bastard, pardon my French, who talks about the repudiation or the reneging of contracts, i.e. redemption of paper, takes you to ruin. And I was thinking, like, who does that guy look like? Do you think like they have like any ancestral ties? That's mean, but you guys get my point. Anyway, thought I would just throw that out there as a little joke. Anyway, let's talk. Phone lines are open. Curious to hear what you guys think. Man, sometimes you just gotta crack some jokes every now and then. Keep things a little light around here. All right. Phone lines are open. Let's talk. What else we got going on here? Let me know in the chat. What other subjects out there worth touching on? Not as plugged in to the news throughout the day. Just got to definitely make sure I not stay plugged in. If not, you lose your damn mind. Let me see here. ISP talks about XRP. XRP is a bridge currency. The main utility of XRP is to allow countries to trade currency and resources instantly across the borders. No doubt. And, no doubt that's why blockchain was utilized. That's why it will succeed. Just ask Klaus Schwab. I do believe that. And so Pabar says it's a deep fake, referring to Joe Biden, I assume. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, so just from the video. So I'm curious, give me your guys' thoughts on the video from earlier with Klaus Schwab, basically talking about how he put together a breakfast of the financial ministers and central bank presidents, and they all got together and further talked about how, important blockchain was towards further enslaving humanity. And there's no doubt that they talked about XRP in there. It's no doubt. Algorand, XRP, XDC, no doubt. And I wouldn't be surprised if the XRP board was probably in there as well in Davos, and all the other, high net worth crypto holders, because believe me, a lot of these people are under contract by the government on the hush. So it's just interesting. But that video was from 2019, May 13th. It was Chicago Affairs, whatever it was. That it's a lot of other juicy stuff in there as well. Hello, Carlos. Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Mike? It's Joe from PA.
Joe, what's going on, my friend? Give me a quick thought.
Actually, I just want your quick thought.
Yeah.
Do you think the platinum is going to rise? Because I know Richard Hart, the creator of the Hex.
Yeah.
When he had that conversation with Peter Schiff, the debate, he alluded to platinum being a better buy than gold. And I know Russia and South Africa are the main producers of platinum. So if this whole thing where Russia gets any more taxing, do you think platinum is actually the metal that has the best pivot move for appreciation? And that's the question I have. I'll let you go.
Appreciate you, man. Definitely. I'll share my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
All right, peace.
Answer to that question is yes. I believe that the platinum market, to my knowledge, is not as heavily manipulated the same way that gold, silver, and some of the other monetary metals have been or are. So definitely palladium, rhodium. I mean, if you could find a rhodium coins are no longer on the market. That might be even better than platinum. But any of these metals here, anything on this periodic table, the world needs in some capacity. And if you have an opportunity to get any of this in physical form and for a short time, exposure via the mining space, because there's more enough proof now that's surfacing as to how property rights and things of that nature will not be held as we get further into this reset. So that's just something to keep in mind. But yes, so long story short, I think platinum definitely could be a major play because it is a much smaller market overall, and it's not as abundant as some of the other metals are. And so Russia definitely has a nice, foundation to be the primary, I think, exporter of platinum, if I'm not mistaken. And it's not used for many things other than like Cadillac converters and stuff like that for automobile. And I'm sure it has a lot more use cases than we're aware of. But I think personally, yes, it would do fine. And so if you get any type of metal whatsoever, it definitely will be more scarce in nature than these things here. Anything that comes from the earth on this side will be more valuable than these things here in time, because these here are the weapon of choice to keep this thing afloat. So long-winded answer, but 100%. Sashka says uranium is in Kazakhstan. So Sashka, I appreciate you. So definitely let us know from the mineral standpoint what other countries in that region might be a strategic uranium, platinum, as well as all. I mean, mind you, I'm not a chemist or I'm not like that, but there's a lot of other chemists on here. There's a selenium, bromium, chromium, tellurium, polonium. There's a lot of M's on here. They come from somewhere, and I don't think the U.S. got them in abundance. So I'd imagine that whole region of stands, Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, and I imagine all those nations over there probably got a lot of this stuff over here in the ground, and it's good for something. That's why God put it here, in my opinion. But one thing I want to mention real quick that blew my mind, because I wasn't even up on it. But I think I never really paid attention to it until I never really paid attention. I never paid attention to it until it was brought to my attention. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see here. So they're not even for sale. I'm looking for a rhodium coin. And the ones I did find were sold out, and the premiums on them things, boy, whew, they were through the roof. Let me see. Yes, I'm looking for just some generic coins floating around, and them boys, when they bought, they don't go back to the shelves. All right. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. This is Richard. How you doing?
Richard, doing good, my friend. What's in your mind?
Well, I wanted to ask you a question. Were you familiar with the opium wars?
Other than, I mean, on the surface, yes, not too in depth. I don't know about it all in great detail, but enlighten me though.
Well, I wish I knew a little bit more, but I'm thinking that the British, who wanted to colonize everybody in their time, they would go to India, and they would get the opium, and they was trying to control the Chinese. And so, if you think about, we had our financial problem in 2008, and so a matter of 12 or 13 years, the West has become addicted to debt.
Right.
How long do you think it took China to become addicted to opium? Can you see the parallels?
Yeah.
They already had a game plan. Yeah.
Very
so
true.
Anyway, fun stuff to think about. Did you ask Mario to sing with you, Ebony and Ivory, yet?
I did not, because I don't even know the song.
Well, it was just for fun. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'll mention it if we'll call it on Friday and remind it, because I'll probably forget. But hey, man, I appreciate you calling.
It was just for fun.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, just for fun, I wouldn't mind, trying to see if he got some pipes, see if he can sing.
Well, I mean, we already know that you're humble and he's humble, so it's like you go a little bit outside your box.
Hey, man, anything for some fun and giggles, man. Got to make things light around here, so appreciate you, man.
Thank you, sir. You have a good one. Bye.
Good point there, man. And speaking of opium, I thought I would just bring this up here. So it looks like the Taliban bans drug cultivation, including lucrative opium. And so what the West has used for the last several decades, close to 20 years, the whole Middle East conflict from 9/11 onward happened to have been around the opium fields, using military assets to basically get to the tools. Says United Nations estimated was Afghanistan's opium production, which United Nations estimates was worth $1.4 billion at its height in 2017, has increased in recent months, farmers from Taliban members told Reuters. So looks like China now has the keys to the opium fields, because China has stepped in to be the primary steward of that region there and all the other natural resources that come from the ground there. But once again, for my people out there in the chat, what other key minerals and resources lie underground in Afghanistan? I'd imagine it's a lot of those things on the chart over here that I was talking about that the world needs. Where my chart go? Let me find my chart. I lost my chart. Yeah, I'd imagine Afghanistan has a lot of these other EMs that we are not familiar with, that I'm not familiar with, underground, and it's good for something. So, yeah, man. Whoever owns the land and the gold calls the shots. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Mike, Steve, P189.
Steve, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, not much, bro. Hey, I just want to refer back to in your earlier things before you started taking the calls about somebody said you were Russian, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Hey, all I tell those people is go pick up the Bible, go pick up the Bible and go take a look at it and see where Russia is and what's going to be taking place with them down the road. And they can easily find out in what Ezekiel, was it 36, 37, 38, 39, Gog, Magog, etc.
Yeah.
So I just think that's kind of unfair.
Right. And I know it's all fun and games, man. I don't really, it's just, people need stuff to do. People, if you're not doing that constructive, you need to do something just to criticize or whatever. That's just how it goes. It's all fun and games for now.
Yeah. So it's all, but the other thing is, where's Israel in this right now? Right. I saw one video earlier that said that Israel entered this behind the scenes or whatever. Now that's when the eyebrows should go up anytime Israel's
right
is named or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to do the research on it, but where's Israel right now with what's going on with Russia? It's been pretty quiet on the Western front.
Right.
I don't know about the other. I don't know about the rest of the world.
Right.
But I assume there's something going on.
Right. So just out of curiosity, because I haven't heard that region mentioned much, I typed in Israel sanctions, and this is last week. It says Israel tells U.S. is taking steps to prevent Russians from using Israel to evade sanctions. So whatever that means, but that's just their political spew on them trying to make a public opinion, a public statement about it. But I would imagine that they're not as bad. They're not as hard pressed on forcing these sanctions the way the West is, because Israel has a much higher stake in all of this. So they're playing both sides ultimately. So
yeah. Hey, but even Israel has a satanic side to it. If you look at there's somewhere in the Bible that talks about those who say they are Jews but are not, but of the synagogue of Satan.
Right.
And if you look at that Jewish book, now I don't want to get people riled up, but I know people get sensitive over this stuff. There is a satanic side, as there's with anything in the world, I guess. The Talmud. If you look up their Talmud, TALMUD. If you look that up, what they say about the virgin birth, what they say about Jesus. They say Jesus isn't the Son of God. They say Mary was pretty much a prostitute. This is all in Talmud. And it's not all Jews, but there's a sect of them that are satanic. And I'll just leave that there.
That's just it's information to get people to chew on it. So I appreciate you, man. Also, I see that those screenshots from the Hagman report as well. With yeah.
Hey, I have forgot about that. Let's bring it up, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead. I got it on the screen now.
Let's take them down a rabbit hole here. Now, basically, it's not me saying it. Apparently, Steve Quell and a team around the world have been receiving these glyphs, glyph project, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
And these things, and this is where it comes back to people actually believing that it's a spiritual thing versus a book that gives moral guidance. No, this is real.
Yeah.
Basically, Steve Quell's position on this. Try to get him on the show if you can.
Yeah.
So we can talk about these things. His stance on this is that these things, these fallen angels, these entities are communicating in real time.
Yeah.
Real time. Giving direction to leaders around the world, etc.
Yeah.
And and he just posted one or two of those things.
Yeah.
And that's what they are saying. That's what Steve Quell said.
Right.
That's what they posted. They got it translated, and it's in languages that have been dead for thousands of years or whatever. And that's what these things are saying.
Right.
And if you want to read those glyphs, go ahead. And
I got them on the screen, and I'll put them in the Discord and in the Telegram so people can read them beyond what's here But yeah, there's just more stuff to dive into if it's something of interest to you. So it's gets real out here. It's getting realer.
I know. Well, people just need to realize that this is spiritual, and these things are going to manifest, and it's only going to get stronger that they manifest. And you have the disc at home anyway. From the conferences, like an 8-disc package. Go to that Steve Quell thing and go to George Knapp in that package.
Yeah.
And look at what they say about Skinwalker Ranch. Things were manifesting, entities were doing all type of crazy things. But the so-called Christian will take all the rules and morals of the Bible. Yeah. But they take the supernatural part and toss it aside.
Right. Especially what one thing that never really gets talked about much or taught is the spiritual presence of entities, whether it be the angelic beings or the demonic beings. They are as real as the word itself, and their influence is heavily involved right now in a lot of things on the earth, both bad and also positive for believers. So
absolutely,
it's like, and that's where, like, outside of all the demonic things happening in the world, we're seeing just a moral decay of everything. Society is crumbling right now. But then again, on the other side of that, there's opportunity for the believers because we have angels assigned to us, and so if we are the ones responsible to give them commands according to God's word, then we have a lot more that we can do as well with their help and their assistance, because that's what their job is. So,
absolutely. And that's why you're talking now and I'm talking now. There's angels around us.
Yeah.
And like this, some people don't believe that. They just take the moral side of the Bible.
Right.
And don't know that there's forces doing you every day, one way or the other.
I'm trying to bombard our mind with thoughts, ideas, and suggestions. But hey, Steve, let me get some more calls, man. I appreciate you as always.
All right, man.
All right, be good. Yeah. Later. Yeah, good stuff, man. Man. The spiritual forces at work, principalities and powers. It'd be interesting if more people were not afraid or not interested in talking about the spiritual element of things, whether you agree or don't agree. Just have discussions about real things such as this, rather than just a feel good, happy go lucky, let me line my pockets. So, but anyway, man, I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on the that video earlier from Klaus Schwab, because Klaus seems a big slight about Bitcoin as well. So does that make you feel better that your bags are going to do well until the real truth is revealed? We'll see. Hello, Carlos. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike. Low blood pressure, Corpus Christi. How's it going?
LBP, doing good, man. What's on your mind?
Hey, you guys got the biblical knowledge going. I'm gonna add something, if I may.
Go ahead, man.
Look. I don't like people saying that gold and silver, you're gonna throw it into the streets. It's useless. Don't have it. Look, the whole Ezekiel 7, you have to take the whole chapter into account.
Yeah.
It's talking about not even preps will save you. Not even a machine gun will save you. It's talking about when God comes and destroys the universe. Only his divine power and his worship is going to save you. Yeah. So all those people talking about, don't get no gold, don't get no silver because it's not going to save you. This is all a lie, Mike.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of things are nitpicked and taken out of context to fit whatever narrative or whatever theme the person wants to run with. And that's why religion can be very dangerous, because more people have died in the name of God for whatever their agenda was than any other way of killing people. So I didn't confirm this, but I think Hitler said that he was a Christian doing God's work as well. I ain't a historian, but that's what I think I heard or read. But so yeah, I take it as a grain of salt, man. I'm all interested in just power. If there's no power behind it, then the fruit won't last, and of course it'll just get tossed away like everything else, man. So I feel you, but I feel you.
One more.
Yeah, go ahead.
One more. Look, in Exodus, when the Jews left. I can't get the chapter. I wrote it in the chat.
Yeah.
God told Moses, and Moses told the people to borrow gold and silver from the Egyptians. He said borrow. He said max your credit card and get gold and silver because a life-changing event is coming. I'm telling you, Mike, it's sanctioned by God. It's approved. It's what do you call it, halal or kosher to borrow if you're going to get gold and silver. And what happened? You know what happened? They left the desert. But once the event happens, don't make a calf with your gold and silver.
Right.
It tells
the love
you right
of money.
then and there, you know.
The love of money is ultimately what took them people. And of course, you know, idol worship and everything like that. But and so
I don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think it was too much the love of it. It's what they did with the money. They worshiped the money itself, and they created a calf with the gold and silver. Don't do that. When you go to the other side, be spiritual, do holy things, do good things. But you could borrow infinity because it's not real money anyways. And max those credit cards out and get that gold and silver, Mike.
Hey, man. Appreciate you, man. Be good.
All right, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you, my call.
LBP. Good stuff, man. All right, there we go. So I think that when it comes to the, you know, the spiritual essence of things, like, you know, the love of any medium of exchange in place of your dependence upon God as your primary source and your sustainer, can put you in a very vulnerable position to stray away from God because you think that you did it on your own. You think that whatever you were able to accumulate and gather in this life is because of your own efforts, and it has nothing to do perhaps with God, or, you know, so that's, you know, it's you know, the love of money, referring to placing money ahead of God and everything else, can be very dangerous. And I think gold and silver can definitely fall into that category of people base their entire lives about it as if it can save you. It's not. It's just a tool. That's all it is. It's just a different form of being able to interact with other people and store up your energy and things of that nature. In the same light, this whole digital asset space. You know, this digital asset space has taken on a life of its own for a lot of projects, i.e. the maximalists, in the same way that it could be considered as a cult. So we can definitely have gold and silver cults. We can have Bitcoin cults and XRP cults, and where people actually think that, you know, at some point when this happens, I'm going to be super uber wealthy, because it's like, you know, at the same time we're going through a restructuring of the entire monetary world order. And in that same video that I'm referring to with Klaus Schwab, the next part he gets into is he describes globalization to, I think he said 4.0, if I'm not mistaken, 2.0 or 4.0, either one of them. So he's going into how things are changing, and he basically lays out the case as to why he believes things will be so bad that the average person will own nothing. And then he basically says how they will be happy, because it runs the risk of getting extremely dark. And so that's just more on that side there. But anyway, getting ready to dial back. As always, people, I appreciate everybody for taking time to bless me with your presence, and definitely want to keep you guys up to date. So make sure you guys hit the bell notification to stay notified, and then join the Telegram and Discord. All the information that you need is beneath this video here, and you guys can connect and share thoughts, ideas, videos, or whatever. So anyway, that being the case, be blessed, be safe, and of course, stay prayed up, and continue to do the best you can with the knowledge given to you to prepare or to preserve yourself. But ultimately, it all falls upon your trust and dependence on the Lord himself, i.e. the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So as always, let's close out with a little bit of prayer. We'll definitely get back to that. For those that are wanting to get in agreement and activating some of the power that has been afforded to us as believers in Christ, and just put it to work, man. Let's try to bear fruit that will last. And i.e. that fruit, the best type of fruit, is taking the word, using it, applying it, and helping other people come to that same revelation that you have, i.e. winning souls for eternity's sake. That's what this is all about at the end. Who gets the most souls? Will it be the enemy, or will it be our creator? And finding ways to make it, basically make it so people are not turned off by spiritual, religious talk of, it's a lot of spooky people out here, man. Anyway, if you get my drift, if you guys want to get in agreement with me, I definitely would love to get in agreement and just pray that God activates his power right now amongst the church and we can get busy, man, because there's a lot of work for us to do. The fields are ripe, folks. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather this afternoon. Lord, we pray that your power continues to work mightily in each and every one of our lives, Father. We pray that because we are awake and aware, and we know that you are King, you are Lord, you are seated on a throne, and we are in your Son right now in heavenly places, Father. We have been blessed beyond measure. And Lord, I just thank you for our inheritance of being able to access your kingdom right now that you've given to us, Father, in good pleasure. Father, we just thank you for all that you have done, will do. Continue to be with your body right now, Father. Give us strength. Allow us to see things you want us to see and be active and do things you want us to do to bring you glory. All in the name of your precious Son, Yeshua. We thank you. Amen. All right, people. That's all she wrote. Peace.